Step by Step, A Boy Goes to Washington by Bertie Bowman. Bertie Bowman, you are only 13 years old, and here you are on your way to the big city, I thought, feeling the seat under me. I watched the scenery from the windows, the flat landscape, and the farmers walking around in their fields in the distance. My mind was closed to all things past. I was not going to look back on my farm days, hog slopping, or the long hours of toil. I didn't give a thought to things back at home. That train rolled on all day long, to the song of the metal against the tracks, the blur of the towns and villages moving past my eyes. I wasn't going to get to Washington until around 8 o'clock that night, and I told the porter that I would be glad to work if he needed anyone to help him. Well, the porter said, very aware of the white conductor, who could make trouble for him if he wanted. There's always something to do around here, but be careful of the conductor. He's in charge of the porters and attendants. The conductor walked back and forth through the aisle, checking on the porters and attendants, all colored, making sure that everything was up to standard. I watched the porter, who kept out of his way but did his work. His job was to help with the bags, to meet the request of the riders, and to put out the steps when the train stopped. All the attendants worked in the kitchen, cooking meals and serving the commuters. I learned much on that train. Everything was so new and different in this environment outside of Somerton. It was my first experience in a much bigger world. For example, the train featured a flush toilet, and I was only familiar with outhouses in my rural town. As soon as the train made its first stop, I learned how to put down the steps gracefully without much fanfare, and then I watched the porter assist the white ladies in all their finery off to the platform. We loaded their baggage onto carts. The colored passengers traveled in separate cars from the white people, cramped from inferior passage, and did not get the porter's assistance. They got off the best way they could. According to the rules, the colored riders could not put their bags on a cart. They had to carry them. Later, after I had eaten my lunch of ham and bacon sandwiched between biscuits, I helped out in the kitchen, cleaning off the tables, and they rewarded me by giving me a free dinner. I took the dinner back to my seat in the segregated car where all the colored passengers ate food that they had brought with them. In that time, we could not go on the train without taking along our own food and drink because we could not buy any in the dining car. That was only for white people. The train trip and helping those guys out were very positive experiences, ones that convinced me that I'd made the right decision. I could survive away from home. I knew I could survive in the big city. If I could help those men do their work, after all, I could certainly hold down a job when I got to the city. Unlike some of the young guys, I was not too serious about myself. I could get along with anybody. The porter and the attendant seemed to like me, kidding me constantly, joking that I acted as though I was just hired on. "Are you trying to take over our jobs?" they asked me. As it turned out, it wasn't just a joke, because later when the train got close to Washington, they asked if I would really like a job on the train. They also said the white conductor said he would hire me because of the excellent work I had done that day. But I had a mission, one mission alone, to be a success in the city. I told them no. The main reason I did not take that job was that it interfered with the game plan I'd had in my head for so long. I was going to go to the city, where I could get a job wearing a uniform, wearing a hat, and driving a shiny car. Who wanted to go back down south? I knew I would like it here with its opportunities. I knew I could do a lot of growing up here and mature into quite a man. Also, the porter informed me a lot about his work schedule and how he would work without any time off all the way from the South to New York City and back again. It sounded almost as exhausting as farm work. When the train pulled into Washington, I had never seen so many lights. It was like the world was on fire. As I gathered my stuff, the porter asked me again if I wanted the train job. No, I said. I am finally in the city. This is what I have been waiting for all my life. Bertie Bowman was born in Somerton, South Carolina in 1932. The fifth of 12 children on a poor farm, Bowman dreamed of leaving for Washington, D.C. In 1944, Bowman met campaigning Senator Burnett Maybank, who declared that if anybody in the crowd that day came to Washington, D.C., they should stop by and see him. At 13 years old, Bowman ran away from his home and the farm and took Maybank up on his offer. Maybank helped young Bowman get a job sweeping the steps of the Capitol Hill building. From there, Bowman made a place for himself. Over the next 60 years, Bowman would rise through the ranks to become a staffer for the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He kept a diary of his experiences through those remarkable years, which became the basis for his autobiography.